Hey everyone, Regan here from the Xero API team again. I've got another episode for you today in our AI Automation Unleashed series. I'm going to be showing you Lovable. Lovable is a natural language coding platform, very similar to Replit that we saw in the last episode, but with a few little differences, and we'll explain those as we go along. Today we're going to make, for a fictional lawn mowing business, an automated quoting tool. So we'll be able to get our customers to put in their information in a website, and it will produce a quote from Xero for them. And that will allow you to manage the quoting process with them in an automated fashion, saving you time and hopefully effort. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, here we are in Lovable. I love the name Lovable. It's such a lovable name, right? But look, I've got a massive cup of coffee. I suggest you get something too, even if you're just, cozy by the fire watching this. It's winter here. I don't know what it is, where you're watching and when you're watching this, but I'm in a t-shirt. Bad choice of clothing. It's cold, but I have coffee to keep me warm. Everything's fine. So, I've had to pay for Lovable. I've done a little bit of testing beforehand. It's a little bit different to Replit, is what I would say. Replit, I was able to get away with the free tier. Lovable has a different pricing mechanism, and I was just a little bit scared that when I was filming this, I was going to hit the free tier. So I went ahead beforehand and I paid for the paid version. Whether you do that or not is up to you. There's a couple of other things that you're going to need to probably sign up for as part of this, is the other difference between Replit and Lovable. But we'll go over that as we get into it. So yeah, signing up for a Lovable account is very straightforward. I won't go through that today. You can do that yourselves. But for now, what we're going to do is we come in here and create our prompt. So to save you all watching me furiously type on my keyboard, which I'm sure you don't want to do, I have handcrafted this previously. So I'll just copy and paste it in here. So we're going to create a request a quote website for a lawn mowing business with a Xero integration. Build a modern, responsive lawn mowing quote request system with the following features. Core functionality. We want a single page quote request form with lawn specific fields. We've listed out the fields, so we want the customer details like name, email, phone, and property address, because we're going to need all those things in order to do the lawns at that house. We want the lawn area in square meters. Makes sense, right? We need to know how big the lawn is if we're going to accurately price our quote. Do they want edge trimming? I like edge trimming. I don't know about you. Love it when those edges on the lawn look nice and neat. My teenager sometimes does it and sometimes doesn't. Comment below if your teenager always does your edges. Okay, grass clipping preferences, mulched versus caught. Different cost there, right? If I'm going to have to transport the clippings. This is not a lawn mowing video. This is very much a technology video. I'm going to start getting so in depth into the lawn aspect of this. The preferred servants frequency. So, all of these things are going to factor into the pricing, right? At the end of the day. And so this is what we want to do. We want to automate the calculation of the quote. So yeah, and then we're mentioning that here. We've got real-time price calculation. Great. Do it based on all of these different factors. The base rate per square meter, additional charge for edge trimming, instant quote display with pricing breakdown. Great. Form validation. Yes, please. I would love that. I want to control what people are putting in. Thank you confirmation and a quote summary. And then also the Xero integration. So this is the important bit as far as we're concerned, is making sure that this information gets into Xero safely and accurately. So we want to automatically create a customer contact, going to generate a professional quote document in Xero with line items, and all of these other things. And we've put some design requirements. We're going to do a green nature theme appropriate for a lawn care business. Makes sense, right? Clean, trustworthy design with the lawn and garden imagery. We'll see what it comes up with. Lovable is actually pretty good with UI, is what I would say. It produces some of the better looking designs that I've seen. And we'll have a mobile responsive layout, because Most people are browsing on their phones while they're watching TV rather than sitting on their computer booking stuff, right? So we need it to be mobile friendly. Yeah, and then we've just done some specific things here. So this is a pretty massive prompt, right? And I'm going to be 100% honest and say I got Claude to help me write this prompt because I felt like the more detail we provide Lovable, the better the output is. So we'll see how it gets on with this. And one of the interesting differences between Lovable and Replit is that Lovable don't charge you for the size of your prompt and how complex it is. They have their pricing structure is more focused around how many messages you send. So it is good to start with a really big prompt that is as detailed as possible. I haven't tested this yet, so let's see how good it gets on with a big prompt. Generally speaking, the bigger the prompt, the more complexity, the more room there is for error, and we'll see what happens with that as we go into it. So yeah, so we've got all our pricing structure details. We want a home page. Please do all this, and we've said just keep it customer facing, right? We don't want any admin dashboards or anything like that. But make the code well commented, because if we do want to edit it after, that would be really nice. There's one thing that I'm going to change about this just as I'm reading through it. I'm going to say with a custom connection type. And I'm going to go to developer.xero.com and I'm just going to get the custom connections page just to help Lovable out, right? Because if you were watching last week's episode with Replit, we had a little bit of a challenge where Replit had chosen to use the web type rather than using the custom connections type. So I'm going to avoid any ambiguity, and I'm just going to link directly to the page on developer.xero.com that speaks about custom connections so that Lovable knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say custom connection. Integration. Great. Awesome. I am going to press this button, which is going to make the magic happen. It's going to take some time for Lovable to do all of this. It says it's working already. You can see a list of things scrolling down. It's going to spin up a preview. It's already talking to me. Great. It's very excited about creating a modern lawn mowing request website. Great. Well, I'm excited too. Thanks, Lovable. The commentary is great, right? Evoking a clean, trustworthy service websites like those of established lawn care companies. Well, mine is not established, so I'm grateful that it has that opinion of it. Okay, so it's going to implement some features in the first version. Responsive single page design, love it. Real-time price calculation, yes please. Professional quote request, form, green nature theme, good. Services overview, form validation, thank you confirmation system. Interesting that it has not listed anything there about my Xero integration. And I think I know why, but I'm going to leave this to do its thing. We'll see what it comes back with when it says that it's done. Probably take a hot minute or two, so I'll be back with you when it's finished. All right, we're back. So that actually only took like 2 minutes, which is pretty quick. Like, I'm very impressed with it. And as you can see, we've got a lawn care quote booking website complete with fake phone number and fake email address and a name that I didn't give it. Love that about AI, right? It's very creative. It can come up with all sorts of stuff, and it's probably as good as what I would come up with, to be honest. So it's created a comprehensive lawn mowing quote request website with real-time pricing calculations, professional design, and a Xero integration structure ready for API implementation. So it hasn't done the API implementation yet, but it's ready for it. What's next? We can refine and customize. Let's tweak the design and animations and layouts via prompts or visual edits. Master prompting. Use chat mode to plan out your project without making edits. Okay, so we can talk with Lovable's AI and we can say, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? What should we do? Those are good things to do. GitHub sync. Okay, we can and this is really cool, right? So if you don't know GitHub is a tool. It's a whole platform really for hosting code that you've written and having it on their site it will manage changes that you make to the code and allow you to see what has changed every time you make an update. And also it will let you go back to different versions and keep a full version history for you. It's an amazing tool. Like, man, I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have GitHub, and like it was really difficult to manage the code that we had doing things. So yes, totally recommend using GitHub, but it is outside the scope of this tutorial. So if you want to learn GitHub, absolutely connect your Lovable to GitHub and find some other videos from some excellent content creators about how to use GitHub. So to integrate with Xero, use the chat mode to guide the development, detailing how to use the custom connection type and the relevant API calls. Okay, let's see how much guiding we have to do. That'll be interesting to see, but for now, let's try out our quote form just to make sure it works. Okay, I'm going to say that I'm Monica. I'm on a friend's buzz today. I will put in our email address. I'm going to put in a random phone number. My lawn area. How big is my lawn? Let's say it's a 90 square meter lawn. Feels good. Apologize for using square meters if you're in the US and you want to use square feet, that's fine. Do find that square meters is the appropriate measurement. The fact that they are all divisible by sensible amounts is very pleasing to me. Property address. What's my property address? Let's go 123 Main Street. Sounds good. Edge trimming. Definitely want edge trimming. Yes, let's have it mulched. Service frequency, fortnightly. Fortnightly's fine. Additional quotes. Watch out for the dog. We're not going to do too much of that moving forward. Okay. Interesting that it's given me the quote on the page. There's really no incentive for me to click the button, right? I've got my quote. Why am I going to click get my quote? We might fix that. Anyway. Great. It's like, looks beautiful, right? Like this is a nice website. If I was using this, I would not be like, oh, I don't know about this. I'd be like, wow, these folks are professional. So, quote summary, 90 square meters, great. $4.50. Okay. Man, this is cheap. Edge trimming at $15 is the big expense. Okay. The detailed quote will be sent to this email address within 24 hours. We'll also follow up with a phone call to discuss your requirements. Okay. Cool. So I think there's a couple of changes that we want to make there. So we've said, can we please hide the quote amount until after the user has clicked the Get My Quote button? I want to incentivize folks clicking on the button. So let's see what that does. Okay, so that took about as long as the original request did. It says that it's made it. I still see this here. Maybe I'll refresh. Is that going to change it? Probably will change it. But yeah, I've replaced it with a pricing breakdown that shows the rates. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to hide this. Okay, all right. But I mean, someone's going to figure that. Anyway, we'll leave it. This is one thing about working with AI, right? Like, I should have been more specific. I should have been like, hide the pricing altogether. But it's very intent on being upfront with pricing, which I guess, depending on your point of view, might be what you want to do, right? So let's roll with it. I will show you just quickly. You can switch over here to code mode, and this will actually show you the code that Lovable has written. Lovable is very opinionated about how it writes things. Everything's in TypeScript, and it uses Vite for everything, I believe. You don't need to know any of that complexity if you're just putting something together, but if you are a developer, you know, the important thing to know is that all of this will work, and you can edit it here. If you're on the paid version, if you're on the free version, you cannot come into the code mode and make changes in the code yourself. So I guess that's just their way of ushering people towards the paid version of their platform. So I will go back to not code mode because we are going to try to avoid code mode as much as possible so that everybody watching this video can follow along and do it as they please. Great. I don't think we've changed the functionality at all. I'm not going to request another quote here. Let's move on to our Xero integration and getting that working. Right, I've written a prompt for Lovable. Can we please implement the Xero integration now? I specifically want to use a custom connection type so that I can supply a client ID and a client secret only to you without needing a user to step through an OAuth flow. Here is some information on how custom connections work. They use the client credentials grant type in OAuth 2, and then I've put the link. And I've been really explicit here just to make sure that Lovable gets this straight off of the bat and it understands exactly what I'm wanting and why I'm wanting a custom connection, so it doesn't think of suggesting another type for me. Let's see how it goes with this. All right, so it says, I'll implement the Xero integration using the custom connection type with the client credentials grant. This will allow you to use your client ID and client secret directly without requiring users to go through OAuth. Yes, please. Okay, it's finished now. It says I've implemented a complete Xero integration using the custom connection type with client credentials grant. Here's what was added. Key features. There's a Xero service TypeScript file. Great, handles OAuth token management and API calls. It's got a custom hook, manages Xero credentials and service lifecycle. Configuration component, Xero configs, secure credential input with local storage. Creates contacts and quotes directly in Xero when forms are submitted. Great. You configure your Xero client ID and secret using the configuration panel. Oh, see, this is one of the things we said in our original quote was we don't want admin panels and configuration panels. So that's disappointing, but we can fix that. When users submit quotes, the system automatically creates a contact in Xero. Then it creates a professional quote with line items for each service. All credentials are stored locally and never sent to external servers. The integration uses proper OAuth 2 client credentials flow and includes comprehensive error handling and logging for debugging. Okay. Good effort, Lovable. But yes, we do not want to expose this to our users. Our users do not need to see this at all. Let's just see what it does, right? If I just put in some random stuff here. Does it hide that? Okay, but then it says reconfigure. So this is not what we wanted, right? Like, I don't want to have to do this on the page that the users are going to see. It would be okay if it was on a different page, maybe. But then I'm also concerned about how it's storing that client ID and that client secret. That's very confidential information. So let's ask it about that. I've written another prompt for Lovable here. The client ID and the client secret are sensitive credentials. I don't want them stored where someone might be able to get hold of them. Absolutely. Like, those are the keys to your castle. You want to make sure that nobody has access to those. And I also don't want users to see the configuration of Xero on the customer-facing parts of my website. And I've asked it, what do you recommend, rather than making a suggestion, to see what it will say, because to be honest, I'm not 100% an expert in Lovable, and I think I know what it's going to say, but I don't want to assume ahead of time what I should be recommending. I want to ask it for a recommendation. So let's see what it comes back with. Okay, great to get confirmation that I'm right and that I should be concerned about sensitive credentials being stored client-side. Yes, thank you, Lovable. So the first option is a Supabase integration, and if you see this little green icon up here, that is Supabase. Supabase is like a database platform, and we can create a Supabase Edge function to handle the Xero API calls and store the secrets in Supabase. That is, to be honest, what I thought it was going to do first. I'm surprised it made this client-side, but that's okay. It can keep all the sensitive operations away from the client. It's going to remove the Xero config component entirely from the customer-facing site. Great. That's what we want, right? That is, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Lovable. All right. Option 2, environment variables with build time injection. If you want to keep it simpler and the credentials are for your business only, not per customer, We could store the credentials as build time environment variables. That is also that is what Replit does. That is what I would do if I was building this. I would store these as environment variables, and then nobody has access to them. I'm putting them in wherever I deploy this. Yeah, so that's a perfectly valid option. It might be simpler at this point to say go with option 2. Actually, look, it even calls it out here if you want to keep it simpler. And option 3, there's a simple backend service. You could set up a minimal backend service. Could be a simple serverless function. Okay, we could do that. I think that sounds like the most complicated of all of them. Supabase is an interesting one. It adds an additional dependency. We would have to create a Supabase account in order to do that. I think that would be fine to do. I had prepared a Supabase account, thinking that this would be the way that it would want to do it. But look, option 2 definitely, this is how I would do it if I was coding this myself, right? I would do option 2. But it's recommending that I go with option 1. It's the most secure, and Lovable has built-in support for it. This would completely remove the credential input from the customer-facing site while keeping everything else secure. Would you like me to help you implement the Supabase integration, or would you prefer one of the other approaches? I am going to go with the flow. It's recommending Supabase. Let's go with Supabase. I love how it congratulates you. Great choice. To implement the Supabase integration for secure Xero credential storage, you'll need to first connect your Lovable project to Supabase. Okay, so we need to connect to Supabase. Once connected, it can help us with all these other things. Okay, so I'm going to click this green Supabase button. I'm going to say connect Supabase. What is Supabase? It's a complete platform for building apps with user authentication, data storage, and other backend capabilities. Connecting to your Lovable project will enable you to build more advanced apps and support such things such as AI features and payments. Didn't know Supabase did payments. All right. Connect to Supabase. It's going to take me to a Supabase page. I'm already logged into Supabase. If you were not logged into Supabase at this time, or you didn't have a Supabase account, you would have to either log into Supabase or create a Supabase account. Super easy, very straightforward, nothing dramatic about it. But like every good form of active consent, it's telling me exactly what it's going to let Lovable do, and I have to press this button to say yes, I'm okay with that, which is fine. I'm okay with these things, because if I don't let it do those things, I'm not going to be able to use it. So yeah, it's important that I do it. Connection failed. What? We couldn't connect to your Supabase account. Please try again or contact support. Okay, Lovable, what's going on? Where did my project go? Okay, back here. Great. Okay, let's try that again. Connect to Supabase. Yes, authorize Lovable. Connection failed. What? We couldn't connect to your Supabase account. Okay, Lovable. Interesting. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to contact support about it immediately because we're doing this right now. What I'm going to say is let's change tack. Okay, so I've said I'm having an issue connecting to Supabase. It says connection failed. Can we go with option 2 instead? Because it doesn't need Supabase to do option 2. So let's see how that goes. So, of course, after doing some research and going through all the different ways I could possibly add environment variables to Lovable, which is not straightforward, definitely not as straightforward as I would expect it to be, I came to the conclusion, after reading through its security fixes that it identified, look, we should probably just do this in Supabase because that's kind of the Lovable way of doing it. And then I was like, all right, well, that means I have to fix this issue with Superbase connecting to my Lovable account. And I thought, oh, I'll just give it one more try, just in case. And so I just clicked the connect to Superbase button one more time. And of course, this time it worked. But it's still prompting me to connect to Superbase. Okay. Connected organizations. Okay, great. So now it's saying choose the Superbase project to sync with. Okay, so I can do that. Great. So what I'm going to say is we probably should have gone with Superbase to begin with, right? Is a conclusion I've come to. Because it's really not clear where we would add environment variables here, right? Like, so I've gone to all these places that they've suggested. They've suggested project settings. There's nothing in project settings about environment variables here. When I publish, I don't get any notification about, hey, you might want to set some environment variables. Here's where you go. Nothing. I can add them directly in the code, right? But it's actually not clear in here how to add a new file, which is really interesting. It's not really an IDE, so I could prompt Lovable and say, hey, create an .env file for me. .env is what a lot of people use for environment variables file. We could do like config.env, all sorts of different things. Anyway, I was just getting to the point where I was like, maybe I'm fighting Lovable a bit here. And I would like to be friends with Lovable because it has such a lovable name, rather than working against it, right? It doesn't really want me to set environment variables. So it wants me to use Superbase. So now that I've got Superbase connected, I'm going to say, hey, on second thoughts, can we try to do this in Superbase instead? Great, it tells me that using Superbase for the Xero integration is going to be much more secure and follows its best practices. Cool, that's what we wanted to do. If it hadn't have been for the connection issue, we probably would have just done it, so that's okay. To implement the Xero integration through Superbase, you need to connect your Lovable's project. Great, I've connected to Superbase. Click on the green Superbase button in the top right of the Lovable interface to connect your project to Superbase. Okay. Great. Project not connected. Connect to a project. Xero AI demos. I think that's just my default project. Great. It's connected. Great. Superbase is connected. Cool. Okay. We are there. Your app is now connected to Superbase. Yes, it is. Enable sign up and login. Well, I don't need to sign up and log in as part of this. Yeah, we can store and use real data. Great. I mean, we're going to store it in Xero. Really, we're using Xero as our database rather than Superbase. Add advanced features like edge functions. Okay. Before you deploy your app to production or use any real data, you will need to review and set up the appropriate RLS policies. I can help with that. Cool. Great. I'm glad that it's going to help with that. Okay, I'm going to come back up to this prompt. I'm going to say, can we try to do the Xero integration in Superbase now? Please. Perfect. Now that your project is connected to Superbase, let's implement the secure Xero integration. First, I need you to provide your Xero API credentials, which will be stored securely as Superbase secrets. Please enter your Xero client ID and client secret in the forms below. I am guessing it means this one. Add API credentials. Great. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to need our client ID and our client secret. So let's go quickly and set that up. I'm going to log into Xero. I'm going to create a new app. Let's just call it Lawn Care. I have to choose a custom connection. It's premium one-to-one integration that utilizes the client credentials graph type. The reason we're using a custom connection, and this is really important, is because this is only ever going to be connected to our Xero organization. We're never going to ask any other customers to connect this to their Xero, so it doesn't matter, right? We want it just connected to our Xero account. It's a one-to-one connection. It's only ever going to be a one-to-one connection. It'll never need to change. This greatly simplifies the development process. If we go with one of these other options, it's way more complicated. There's a lot more steps in setting it up. There's a lot more steps in managing all of these things. The easiest way for you to get started is to use that custom connection. Now, it does come at a cost. There's a small cost associated with it, and it is only available in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and the USA. If you're outside of those regions, you'll have to use one of these different options, and it will unfortunately make it a little bit more complex for you, but you can do it. Let's make up a website address here. I'll just say lawncare.com. You should use your own application or company URL. I have read the developer terms and conditions. I hope you do too. They're actually really nice terms and conditions as far as terms and conditions go. Nice human readable terms and conditions. So please have a look. We will create our app. The scopes that we need is accounting.transactions because we're creating quotes. And the other one that we need is accounting.contacts because we are creating contacts. We should not need anything else for this particular integration. So I will say save and connect. And that will send me an email. Great, it sent me my email. I'll click here. Lawn Care is requested to connect to your Xero into integration. Organization, I should say. Great. Lawn Care wants access to my demo company. Custom connections are free if you're connecting them to the demo company. But yeah, if I had a paying organization, it would appear here and then it would take me through a payment process. So I'll allow access. Great. I have my lawn care custom connection. Now, in order to get the client secret and the client ID, I need to come back into developer.xero.com, refresh the page, and great, I've got my client ID. And I can generate my client secret, and then I can copy and paste those into Lovable. I can copy this. Let's hope it masks it for all of you. It does. Great. I don't need to do any fancy editing to hide that. Cool. Submit. Great. So it's creating a Superbase Edge function for Xero. So yeah, Superbase is a database. If you've worked with databases before, you probably recognize the code that it's writing is SQL. Structured Query Language is what SQL stands for. I have no idea why it's pronounced SQL, SQL, SQL. Okay, kind of. Squall is another way you could pronounce it, I guess. SQL is good. I like SQL. Please review and approve these SQL commands to create the quote requests table. Do I want a quote request table? Sure. Let's go with it. Perfect. Now I'll create the secure Superbase Edge function for Xero integration and update the front end to use it instead of the client-side implementation. Yeah, so unfortunately we burnt a few credits going down the other route, but that's life, You don't always get it right the first time. And the good thing about using AI tools like this is that the time wasted is actually not too much. And even the credits wasted, like in the scheme of things, it's not a ridiculous amount of money. It's not like going to your local hardware store, buying several large railway sleepers, using your circular saw to cut one in half, and then realizing that your circular saw isn't at a perfect 90-degree angle. And so when you've cut it, you've created two mismatched joins. I'm not speaking from experience here, or am I? Railway sleepers are expensive, this is all I'll say. Okay, so a few minutes later, took a little while to do that one, but fair enough, it was taking out some code that it had written before, and it's doing a new function in Superbase, so I'll give it some lenience there. It's implemented secure integration using Supabase, secure server-side integration, great. Security improvements, no more client-side Xero API calls or exposed credentials, great. All sensitive operations happen server-side. Proper error handling and logging, yeah, great. So yeah, look, the security recommendations were really pushing us towards that Supabase methodology anyway. I think it's probably the better way to go. But I did try and do a little quick search of like, hey, what's the relationship here between Supabase and Lovable? Like, is this shared ownership? But yeah, I haven't found any information just yet. We'll come back to that one later, maybe. Enhanced tracking. So quote requests are stored in the quote requests table. Great. Again, we probably didn't need that, but you know, it's always nice to have it stored. If we're using Supabase, we may as well store it there, I guess. Great. Okay. The index TSX file is quite long. It says 561 lines. You might want to consider refactoring it into smaller, more focused components for better maintainability. Yep, that's good advice. We can have a quick look at it. Yeah, all right. It's fairly long, but a lot of that is the HTML. We're not going to worry about it right now. AI can read it. AI has got no problem reading 561 lines. We're not going to be doing too much editing directly ourselves, so let's be fine with it. It's a good recommendation, but we'll just ignore it for now. Okay, so I put in my API keys. In theory, this is going to work now. So let's test this out. We'll continue on our friends theme. Chandler, rest in peace. I will put in a phone number. I will put in an email address. Let's do 84 square meters just to be different. I'm going to do 123 Main Street again. I want my edges trimmed. I'm going to go with it caught and removed. We want this done fortnightly. I won't do any additional notes this time, but let's get my quote. Creating a quote in Xero. Just thinking about it. Quote request received. Okay, cool. $4.20, $15, $10. That math is not correct, is it? No, that math is not correct. I had to double check myself just for a second, but maybe there's a minimum charge? Is that what we're saying? I didn't read that if that's what we said, but that's okay. Seems reasonable that we'd have a minimum charge. Maybe $35 is pretty good. Okay, it reckons it's been securely created in Xero. Let's have a look. Okay, this is my demo company. I'll go to business, quotes. Come on. Hey, and there it is. Look at that. We've got our quote in Xero with a different amount. Even after tax. All right, so that's one thing we're going to have to fix up. Let's go and fix that up, because these amounts need to match, right? Like, this is super unprofessional to say it's $35 and then it's $33.58. How are we going to fix this? Okay, my mistake. Yes, there's a minimum charge of $35. We should probably be clear that that is including GST. I have a feeling that what it's done here is it has created this excluding GST or excluding tax, and then something has got, it's calculated tax incorrectly. So what we can say is, hey, yeah, okay, so no, it's done these as tax inclusive. It's just the math is wrong, right? So I've written a prompt here. When the invoice is sent to Xero, the amount is incorrect if the minimum charge is charged. Can we please make sure that if we're charging the minimum charge, that we're adding a line item that is the difference between the other line items and the minimum charge? Let's see how it gets on with that. Okay, it thinks it's fixed the problem. Xero integration now properly handles the minimum charge by adding a minimum service charge line item when the calculated total is less than $35. This ensures that the line items in Xero accurately reflect the total amount being charged. Okay, be interested to see what it's doing with tax, but we'll solve that after this little test. Who's our next friend? We will go with Ross. What's my email address? It is xeroaidemos@gmail.com. Drop me a line if you feel like it. I'll answer. Might not be long. Where are we? Okay. We need to make sure this is less than the minimum charge to test the minimum charge. 1, 2, 3, test street. Edge trimming, mulched. Okay, so it's definitely going to be under the minimum charge then. I'm actually super impressed that it made the minimum charge, right? Like, I didn't think of a minimum charge. It's obviously done lawn mowing before as a business, unlike me. Great, creating our quote in Xero. Cool. Total quote, $35. Let's have a look at our quotes. Ross, $35. Excluding GST, $40.25 including GST. Are we okay with that? As long as we say on the website it's excluding tax, then it's fine. I think that's reasonable. Pretty happy with that. That wasn't too bad of a journey. Okay, let's make the change though. Can we please explicitly call out that prices are excluding GST? Well, okay. GST is a New Zealand term, goods and services tax. Other countries use different terms, so I'm just going to say excluding tax to keep this as relevant for as wide an audience as possible. Comment below what your country's tax code is if you're keen to let us know about some interesting different ones. That is really interesting. It actually said tax/GST, even though I didn't put GST in the final prompt. I wonder if it knows I'm in New Zealand. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I've added clear tax exclusion notices in both the pricing section and the quote summary, making it explicit that all prices are excluding tax. All prices exclude GST/tax. That's cool. I think that's enough, right? So we've got our prices clearly excluding tax now. That's fantastic. I think one thing that we're going to need to do is circle back and fix these security issues. So let's on the publish button, we'll review security. Let's see that we cleared all of those things up by using Supabase. It's really good to make this as secure as possible. But look, the flow from here, right, is somebody fills out this form, they make a quote, the quote goes into Xero. You have a human in the loop, right? So you can come into your Xero and look at the quotes that have been created by the website. You can sense check and make sure that it's correct. Yep, great. The subtotal's $35. I'm using my minimum charge. This is the person. We can go and have a look at their contact, and you can see where their address is. Make sure it's not too far away and you're not signing yourself up for something that you don't want to do. And you can send the quote. And if I click the send button, what this will do is it'll send a lovely message from Xero that says, thanks for your inquiry, here's your quote. We'll just do a basic one and send. And so that's going to, because I'm in the demo company, it's not going to let me do it. If you were in a paid organization, it would actually let you do it. But you would send that quote. It would have a beautiful online quote link. You're the human in the loop, checking that the AI has done everything correctly and your system's done everything right. And yeah, you can make it happen. You could do this in a different way. If you really wanted to fully automate it, you could send the quote into the API as sent, and you could get a PDF of the quote and attach that to an email and send an email through a different service. But this is just a nice way to make sure that that everything's okay and you're not going to onboard some people that you don't actually want as customers as part of your flow. But depending on your business, you might have some different requirements there. Let's go back now to the security review and see what's happened. Great, it's got a few things here. So positive security measures, great. Excellent credential security now. Solid architecture, great. Critical security issues identified. Overly permissive RLS policies. Cool. So quote request table allows anyone to view all quote requests. Great. Unused, insecure Xero service contains hard-coded to use. Okay, so it didn't clean up everything from what we did before. Great. Input validation and sanitization. Okay, and it's got a fix plan. Okay, and I'm just going to say, please implement those fixes. This is a nice little addition. One of the concerns that a lot of people have with platforms like this that use vibe coding is that folks that do vibe coding quite often don't know about security. So I think it's a nice little addition from the Lovable team to address that concern, that they do a full security. Well, yeah, it's not a full security audit, but they're not doing a pen test or anything, but they do some looks into this and they're able to control it and make some changes. I think that's pretty good. Please review and approve these critical database security fixes. Looks good to me. All right, we've got to the end of its work on our security improvements. It's completed a bunch of things, but then it's actually said that the build was unsuccessful. So I'm going to click on the try to fix button and see if it tries to fix things. Okay, interestingly, it's prompted very similar to how I would have prompted it if I had have come across the error. So that's interesting. You'll also notice on the screen, we've had a bit of, I would say, UI regression. This doesn't look quite as nice as it did before. We've lost our icons and some of this doesn't look quite as good as it used to. So I'll be interested to see where we get to when it's fixed these errors. I mean, it's going to fix errors. It's not going to change the way it looks and feels, I would say. But let's see where it gets to. So we have resolved these errors according to Lovable. I'll just refresh this page. So I've just said, after implementing the security fixes, the UI looks decidedly worse. Can we make it beautiful like it was before the security fixes? All right, it's questioning my comments that it says that the UI should look exactly the same as before the security fixes. The security changes I made were purely back-end focused. I didn't modify any UI styling or layout. Be more descriptive, it's saying to me. Can you tell me specifically what looks different or worse? I mean, am I wrong here? Like, half the page is missing. And it says it hasn't changed anything? I have written a lengthy prompt with all of the changes. There's no leaf icon in the top left-hand corner anymore. The name changed from Green Care Lawns to lawncare.com. The phone number and email address are no longer in the header. We've now got these different links that weren't there before. edge trimming used to be this beautiful like toggle, right, on and off. That looks cool, but now it's just like a tick box, right? Same with grass clipping preference. That was a drop down, and now it's radio buttons. And then the sections on the page describing services, information about the company, and professional looking footer have all gone, right? They're not there anymore. So, you know, this was beautiful. I loved it, and it's gone. And it's like it hasn't changed anything. It's obviously changed stuff. So that's okay. I've uploaded some screenshots. We'll see if it figures out what it did, because it should be able to go back and look at the previous versions and see that it's removed stuff, I would hope. So in true AI personality traitness, I don't know how better to describe that, it said, oh, I can see exactly from your screenshots what the beautiful original design looked like. You are absolutely right. Yeah, I know I'm right. The current version is missing many key visual elements. This is true. Let me restore the original beautiful design based on your screenshots. We'll see how it gets on. So it's restored the beautiful original design based on our screenshots? It still looks different to me. Like, I mean, this is beautiful iconography, right? And now it's using emojis. I'll allow it, but I think the original one was much better. The sections look okay, but again, like they're mixing kind of iconography with emojis. All right. Yeah, look, I'm not going to be too fussy, but what I'll say is that original design is really good, right? Like, I'm sure if we prompted it a little bit more and just said, hey, get rid of the emojis and use the iconography you used before, it would be able to do it. But I'm not going to bore you too much with that, because look, the truth of it is what we have is a perfectly acceptable website, right? If you came to that as a customer, you would not be like, ugh, what is this? You would be like, okay, these folks seem legit. And does it do all the things that we need to do? Yes, it does. So I hope that is interesting to you. I hope that the last half of this wasn't a disappointment to you. The key takeaway I want for you is that it is entirely possible to build a fully customized request a quote website in a tool like Lovable and have those quotes flow directly into your Xero account. And then you're able to review them and send them to your customers. And I think that's pretty amazing, right? Like, you can do that without even looking at the code, without even needing to understand what the code is doing, and it will function properly. And Lovable will even make it secure for you, which I think that's a nice touch. Is it easier than Replit? It's probably about the same. I don't feel like there's a massive difference between the two of them. The fact that Replit didn't ask me to set up a Superbase account, maybe there's a marginal thing there where it's like, okay, I didn't have any trouble connecting things with Replit, but both of them got me to the desired outcome, right? And with a little bit of persistence and not a huge amount of trouble, right? Like, I was able to keep doing things without having to dive into the code myself and actually go and debug what different stuff was happening. I was just talking to AI in both platforms and telling the AI what was going on, and the AI was able to fix it. So, super cool. Love to hear about what you're planning to do. If you're watching these videos and you're finding something that sparked some inspiration for you and you're planning on using it for something that you're doing in your business, let us know in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe because there's going to be more of these videos coming out soon. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.